everyone, welcome to another Down the Rabbit Hole video. I'm sitting here playing Mappy from Namco. This has been a game that I've quite enjoyed in recent years. It was not, I mean, as iconic as it is from the arcade days, it's not a game that I played a pile back in the day, and I've only recently developed kind of a nostalgia for it. It was a game that I did play on the Game Gear and quite enjoyed. I know there's an Atari 2600 one out there that really impresses. But this has been a game that my nieces have sort of taken a shine to. We got them one of those little 4-in-1, 10-in-1 Namco plug-and-plays. And Mappy was on here, and I was just like, you know, this is actually a really good game. But we're not talking about the game itself. We're talking about how this is maybe my solution. Oh, I died. This is maybe my solution to a bunch of gaps that are in the small arcade collection that I don't have. I don't have certain games like Mappy. And why is that important? Well, as you can see, I'm actually playing this on a little arcade machine. This is actually the GRS Build-a-Cade from Glen's Retro Show. And it's a great little solution for anybody who wants to do the small arcade thing like me. Look at this thing. Like, it's got these nice little skins on the side. It's got a nice little control panel. You can see, like, it's got stickers everywhere. It's a really nice lit up marquee. I'm very pleased with this. Now, I didn't actually get this from Glen's Retro Show or Twin Stick Studios who distribute these. I didn't get this directly. I'd always wanted a Build-a-Cade, but when I watched various videos from folks about, like, well, why don't you just put it together yourself? Look, it comes with all these pieces that you just attach and screw together and do all of this stuff. And I just watched quite a few people on YouTube doing that, and I thought, that's a lot of work. I don't know that I really want to get through all of that mess. Like, it's cool, and for somebody who's, you know, wanting to make a little project for themselves, the end result looks fantastic, and, you know, it's cool. But I wasn't going to do it. I didn't want to set up the software inside as well. Like, you need to set up RetroPie and stuff. It's very straightforward. I'm sure it's quite doable. But as I started to watch a few people do it, I was like, this is not for me. No. But then a guy on the GRS Build-a-Cade Facebook group was saying, you know what? I'm getting rid of these. I need to move, and I've got it all set up for you already with this Mappy control or side art on here. And also, he was in Canada. And I thought, well, I want to help out a fellow Canadian. Why not? Let me give you some cash toward this. How much to ship it over? He sent it very quickly. Got here in about a week, and I've been super thrilled with it. In fact, let's check out the unboxing now. Okay, this is the unboxing stage, so let's just see how this sucker looks inside here. Obviously not in its original box, and that's a-okay by me, because that original box is way too flat and low. Oh, okay, came with the instructions, so I guess if I ever want to, maybe not assemble the thing, but if I wanted to start adding stuff, which I will be doing later, lots of info about that, that's cool. And now, oh wow, it's bigger than I thought. Okay, let's do this carefully here. It has a power cable. Dun, dun, dun. Okay, nicely packaged, nicely secure. Lots of styrofoam to keep it from getting mushed or damaged or anything. There's a screen protector, if you will. So there's like the Mappy marquee, for lack of a better description. And then there's also a layer on top. So I don't know if you can make that out there, but basically there's like a layer of plexiglass and then the marquee around that has the Mappy stuff on it, and then the screen. That's good. What do we got here? This is a power supply, obviously. USB-C, good stuff. Now, I'm curious. Oh, it's even got the Raspberry Pi logo on there. I'm curious. They say you can just plug a USB in the back and then do what you want to do, but there's also a little there's a little memory card there. I'm not going to mess with it. But it's apparently you can just plug in a USB there, and in a couple of minutes, all the file structure of MAME and stuff from here will be on there, and then you can copy stuff over. So we're going to give that a try later. Right now, I just want to check it out. This is nice. This is the, I think, the Steve Zabo skin, and this is done very, very nicely. It really pops. It has a nice color. It has a nice brightness to it. I like this. I like all of these bits here. This is going to be forever a Mappy. I had always thought if I was going to do this, I would get the Steve Zabo skin for Defender, because that's kind of more my jam, but I got an idea for a Defender, and to be honest, I don't want to try peeling this stuff off. I'm just going to leave this Mappy style. That'll work for me. Got rubber feet underneath. Very nice. It actually feels pretty good, solid construction, you know, like that. It may not be on the same wavelength as a New Wave Toys for like quality, because it is plastic as opposed to wood, but I'd put it above a My Arcade. You know, the Space Invaders or the Street Fighter, they're not fantastic in comparison. The joystick, let's have a feel of the joystick here. Okay, so it's not clicky. It's like a joystick you would have on a little toy. And obviously it's a membrane underneath that. That's fine. That's fine. It does make the 4 positions pretty easily. And the buttons have... I've been watching enough videos of people playing on these things so that I kind of know what to expect. It's very hard. Like, there's no travel to these buttons. Like, a New Wave Toys has like a nice little level of push to it. These don't have it. The big one, and we're going to find this out in a second, but... the one complaint that most people have of this thing, including Michael B., the Game Genie, and I believe ETA Prime talked about this as well when they put theirs together, is when you're playing on one of these things, and I think it's kind of true, the top here is kind of blocking, like my eyes are coming in from this angle here, and they're only reaching, you know, 2/3 of the way up the screen. So if you're playing something like Donkey Kong or Space Invaders or Galaga, something that's way up at the top, you don't really have a great angle. Like, you need this thing way back. It's actually to the point where Glen himself has actually made a little tilting cabinet holder things just for exactly that purpose. So people who don't like the marquee being in the way, bezel being in the way, you can actually, no, it is the marquee. People who don't like the marquee being in the way, they can actually tilt it back. So I'm not going to get that. That's a bit dumb. This thing is largely for decoration. Does it work? We're about to find out. Oh, and apparently this is a headphone jack. Yeah, there's a headphone jack hidden in there. That's very cool. And there's my credits. And let's, now I'm going to fire it up. I would normally charge these things up fully, like I did with the 1943 recently. Make sure that the thing is properly charged before you play it. But the fellow who sold this to me made sure that there were a bunch of his favorite games on here for me, which is very nice. So he's obviously used it a lot. It is a used machine, and so therefore there should be some charge in there. I guess we're about to find out. So let's flick the on switch and see what we get. I have no idea what operating system he's put in here. I have no idea. Let's turn it on. Marquee lights up. And I quite like that marquee, to be honest. That's cool. Very cool. Glen's Retro Show logo. We have an operating system. Wow. You probably can't see that terribly well, but yeah, we have games. So last played, favorites, arcade classics, MAME, 31 games loaded in there, some options, dual joystick, 1-button joystick. Oh, this is nice. It's actually got all of these things. This one does not come with a spinner, but I intend to get a spinner, and there's like a little thing called, I think it's a paddle pod, something like that, where you can put the controller in there. So, spinner games will be coming for this, and I'm looking forward to that. But let's just see, what did the guy who sold this to me load into MAME? Now, how do you go into this? Press the fire? Yes! So we got a whole bunch of games in here. I guess we got to go with Mappy. And that just seems to make sense. Let's, I guess we hit this. we have Mappy. That's awesome. Very, very cool. Now, I'll reposition the camera in a second, but let me just try this thing out. I'm going to tilt it slightly so that I can see. And I guess we'll put a quarter in here. Oh, it does have a low volume. Let me turn up the volume a bit. And press player 1. There we go. All right. Give this a whirl here. Well, I'm dead already. But not bad. Not bad at all. It's working well. Oh, darn. So, just reading the fine manual here. Select and start exits the game. So that would be this coin and this player 1, I think. Oh yeah, there we go. We're out of Mappy. Mr. Dig, Mr. Do, Mr. Driller, Nibbler, Pandora's Palace, Pango, Peter Packrat, Pooh. We'll go with Hat Trick, if I can. Now, Hat Trick loaded. Okay. And this will be interesting. This is a widescreen, like landscape orientation, as opposed to portrait. So how is this going to be for playing? Probably. I don't know how this is going to work. It looks okay, you know. Which one am I? I'm blue. Alright, and then to get out is start and select. Cool, okay. Interesting. Yeah, so there are some games. Mr. Do, how about him? Mr. Do, yeah, I see, much better for vertical games, which I'm going to be loading a bunch on in a minute. So let's go. Okay, that's Mr. Do. Huh. Okay, well, this is sort of for my initial kick of the can. I'm very pleased. Definitely this thing needs vertical games that are using the height of the screen to their benefit, as opposed to things like Hat Trick, which use it, you know, horizontally. Okay, so now as awesome as this thing is, I want to add a few of my own games. So I've got a USB memory stick here, and I've put a folder on there called RetroPie. And it is formatted to FAT32, so apparently you just plug this into the back here. You don't use the USB-C, you use the USB-A for data transfer, and plug it in, and it will take a couple of minutes to create the folder structure, if I get that in there properly. And then basically we can copy our games over. So let's get that in there. There we go. And yeah, it's does it show anything happening on screen? Not really. If it was a memory stick that had a little flashing light, there would probably be some activity going on. But anyway, we'll give it 2 minutes, and then we'll take the USB stick to the computer. Well, as you can see, a USB drive has been plugged in, and there's the RetroPie folder that I created, and now there are folders for BIOS and configs and ROMs, including there's a bunch of folders in here. What is this? Atari 8. Oh, so this is where you would drop stuff. Okay, did not know that. Where is MAME? MAME libretto? Oops, hang on. Let's find out. There's no folders in there. Now, I don't know where the games that he's added would be showing up, but I guess we're about to find out. Game Gear, Game Boy Advance. I did not put any of these in here. So this will be intriguing. Okay, well, maybe this is just a copying system. So let's go into the MAME. And down here you can see for Mappy, I've grabbed a bunch of stuff. So I'm just going to grab all of these, and I'm going to copy them across. And, oops, hang on. We'll just see. Some of these are driving games, so I'm going to have to get that other controller, but let's copy these across. And I just want to see, do these show up in the mapping machine? Now, the other thing that I'm not sure about is what if I wanted to have artwork, background stuff, or sounds? You know, like in Donkey Kong, you may not have the right sounds. Oh, from RetroPie to RetroPie? What the heck? I'm not going to mess with this stuff. Oh, more configs. There they are again. You know what? I'm just going to leave that from RetroPie. Okay, let's see what happens. I'm going to unplug and go back to the Mappy. Okay, just an addendum. I discovered I made a mistake. The ROMs that I had put into MAME libretto were going nowhere. Nothing was happening. So I've actually moved them out of here and I've put them up here in Arcade. That's where they need to go. So don't bother putting them in MAME. Put them in Arcade. But it doesn't end there. I also discovered putting the USB into here, waiting a couple minutes, there was still nothing new showing up in the list. Then I turned the machine off, turned it back on, and now it shows 53 games available in MAME, including things like Donkey Kong that I threw on there. Let's just see. It probably won't have the sound, but let's give it a whirl. And there we have it. Donkey Kong is running. Now there isn't, I'll bet you the boom, boom, boom sound of Kong himself is not going to work because that's like an extra sample sound that we have to do. But let's give it a whirl here. Music is playing. I know you can't hear it. Yeah, there's none of that sound. However, give it a quick whirl here. Yeah, and there's no sound of Mario running. I have to figure out how to put the sound effect sample files into the right folder, but let's just go with this. The other sounds are all working fine. That's good. So let's just check one of my others here. Let's go with Galaga 88. That should work with a nice tall screen like this. Yep, there's Galaga 88. Fantastic. Let's put in a coin. Oops, one player. Oh, didn't mean to hit to dual, but whatever. Just for testing purposes. Might have the sound a little too low, but I'm just testing out here. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Working great. Fantastic. Okay. So yes, I managed to get my ROMs on here. Now, a bunch of these need some weird configurations and stuff like that, but that's all there is to it. Just stick it on a USB and copy it on over. Fantastic stuff. So now I need to play around with this thing for a while. But for first impressions, really, really nice. The screen is gorgeous, actually. I also discovered when I left this thing away, it's not plugged in currently. When I went away to copy a couple files across and I came back, the screen was sort of dimmer, so it's got like a way of sort of preserving power. Just give the joystick a little move and it brightens back up. Nice, durable, you know, it's not New Wave Toys level quality of the wood, but it feels very solid for a plastic version, you know, better than a My Arcade, let's put it that way. And I think this is going to look great with all my other machines. I like the fact that the Mappy lights up. I like the fact it's a Mappy theme. So this is great. Anyway, going to play a little bit more and get back to you. All right, so after a bit of finagling, I've got this kind of the way I'd like it to be. I've loaded up a bunch of the games that I want to play. And I've actually... the nice thing with the way this is all set up through RetroPie, whichever one it is that as you go through the list of games here, all you need to do, you don't have to keep going down this giant list every single time. You can actually just use on the back this button here to edit to favorites. So what I've done is I've actually gone and added a bunch that I want to play on my favorites list here. So I got a big pile here. Very, very happy. Many of which are actually more than just a single button game. Now that's that's an extra thing. But let me first of all show you, like, I can put on something that I've wanted for a while is GRS. And now I can play GRS. Let's throw in a coin and have one player, obviously. Oh, nearly got them all. Yeah, so I can play GRS on here. That's a lot of fun. You've seen me fire up Donkey Kong already. That's really, really good. To exit out of anything, I hit the credit and one player button. Now, I'm not going to put Pac-Man on here because I have that arcade 1-Up Pac-Man that plays, but it doesn't come with Ms. Pac-Man, and now I can play Ms. Pac-Man. So in a coin. Now, my complaint still exists with any Pac-Man or Ms. Pac-Man games is I don't like the fact that the joystick's all the way over there. That is something that I like about the arcade 1-Up, is that at least the joystick is centered, so that's really good. But look at this, if I want, I can have the entire family of all the Pac-Man games, and that's a lot of fun. Really, really happy about that. And here's an obscure one they're never going to release, ever. Because first of all, it's Konami, and secondly, it's a sequel to a game that everybody loves. Time Pilot 84. I remember this in the arcade, and I've loved this game forever. Now I'll be able to play it. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, but wait a second, if I throw in a coin and I start up a game. Isn't that a 2-button game? Your controller is only single fire. Like, what are you going to do? You see those little panels that show up. Those are for your smart bombs. You can't fire them because you don't have a second button. I have actually mapped the second button. Oh, well, I've actually mapped the second button to the 2-player button on the controller. And I can fire those. Let's see if I can get something here that needs... There we go. I got them. Well, I died, but yes, I can remap the buttons the way I like so that if I've got a game that requires 2 shots, and there are quite a few of those out there in the arcade world, I've actually got a way to do it. So here I am playing something I know is never going to come to New Wave Toys or Arcade 1-Up or anybody else, because nobody remembers Time Pilot 84. They all remember Time Pilot. Well, now I can actually play Time Pilot 84. That's really, really cool. Let me show you how I map that second button. And so here is Scramble, a game I definitely would have got if New Wave Toys or somebody had managed to release it, because I have a lot of memories with this game. I have nostalgia for this game, but it's Konami. They don't care about their arcade background. They're not going to be releasing this thing as a mini arcade. Well, good news, I can do it with the GRS. So let's put in a coin, and you can hear the sound. It is there, but it's very low. Now, currently, I've only got this thing set the default way, so I can shoot these things. No problem there, but I can't hit the... Like, it's button 1 and the second player are both for the individual laser beam shots. But I need to survive this game. I'm definitely going to need to be able to drop the bombs, so let's do that here. Okay, so first of all, I'll set this GRS to the side. What I've done is I've grabbed a keyboard, which I'm going to need. But luckily, this is super easy. Just grab any USB keyboard. Got the connector there. Plug it in the back. And now, if I want to change the configuration, all I do, because this is MAME, just like any MAME machine, hit Tab. And we get the usual menu of, do you want to make changes for all games or just this game? I'm basically just going to leave this keyboard alone now because all I needed to do was hit Tab. I'm going to go down the list here to input only for this game. Hit Enter, which is the fire button. What button would you like to change? Well, I happen to know that I want to make button 2, the one that drops the bombs, as the other control. So we'll change player 1 button 2, not player 1 button 1, because that's this one already. We want player 1 button 2. I will hit Enter. What button would you like to remap? Let's make it the player 2 button. Boom. And that's all I got to do. So then I just set this back. I will hit Tab to come back out of here. And now, if I unplug, let's just fire up a game. I won't be able to have a 2-player game with this, unfortunately, but that's okay. Because now, in addition to firing my shots, I can drop the bombs. And I've gone through basically and remapped any of the games that I want to have a second button. Like, there are quite a few on here where, there are games like Time Pilot 84. There are games where I'm going to want to be able to readjust, remap, and change around which button is which. I can do that here. In fact, there's a few obscure games that have kind of weird control schemes. A little bit like Asteroids. There's games where you're going to want to have more than just joystick and a button. And that's what I can do now, because all I have to do is use that tab control. Now, I did check to make sure if I then go away from this machine, like if I turn this thing off, does it forget that mapping? No, it keeps it. I think it saves it to the configuration card inside here, and it never overwrites it. So I think as long as there's power, I'm good to go. So that's me remapping the controls. One other thing on here that I thought was a little confusing was the fact that it has, options for things, but it also has like dual joystick, which I'm going to remap. I got a couple of games on there, like Karate Champ. I'm going to see if I can do that in a way that I can remap it so I'm not using these. Got a secondary video in mind for that. It has differentiated out one button joystick games like Donkey Kong and all those 9 yards, so that's great. But it also weirdly then goes down to 3 button joystick games. And I'm like, well, there's not that many that are 3 button. And then I went through this list. I'm like, wait a minute. Galaga 88, that's not a 3 button. Scramble, that's not a 3 button game. I'm very, very confused. I actually looked it up, and I think what it is, because Glen's Retro Show does sell a 3 button control board where they've differentiated out player 1, player 2 over to the side, and then you've got like an ABC here. That's why they've made the menu 1 button for this controller, 3 button for all those others. And I've got some ideas for spinners and other stuff as well. But I'm very, very pleased. That does now allow me to do a heck of a lot of things on here that I couldn't do before. So yeah, now what this means is I have a little arcade machine that will play pretty much anything I want it to play. And that's great. Now I've got Mappy, which in and of itself is an iconic game, and I really like the skins that have been applied to the side of this here. I like the attract mode. So this is great. This will now fit very nicely with all the other machines that I have. And on the subject of the other machines that I have, I did say this 1943 from New Wave Toys is probably the last one I'm going to get. Well, now I think that's true, because Mappy, with the GRS operating system and all the options that this thing provides, that's going to basically do it for me. I mean, what other games? There's the possibility of things like Marble Madness and other stuff that maybe New Wave Toys are going to release, but now I've got a pile of games in here. Ms. Pac-Man, Time Pilot 84, a whole pile of stuff. And yeah, I see a really bright future for me, but I don't really need to get any more of these little arcade machines, to be honest. Now, there's certain things that, like, I think it lines up very nicely. They're not quite side by side to scale, but you know what? I've already got stuff that's out of scale with the New Wave Toys anyway, like the arcade 1-Up, Pac-Man, etc., and the Space Invaders and Street Fighter. So the scale thing is not a factor for me. The one thing that's a little bit dicey with these is because you've got this lip, you have to kind of sit with this thing higher up than these guys. But I sat with this on like a kitchen table, and I just sat in a chair, and I could make it pretty much up to the top of the screen, so that's fine. The other thing is that any it plays portrait games just fine. It's the landscape stuff. You're now dealing with a smaller little screen. I already showed that previously, and it is true. It's maybe not ideal for widescreen, Street Fighter or Final Fight or whatever, but half of the time this is just going to be a bit of decoration. Plus, I also kind of have a plan for anything that's landscape related, so we'll come back to that. But for now, I'm just going to say I'm really, really thrilled with this Mappy GRS Build-a-Cade. It's a great little machine. It's going to make a great little addition to my personal little tiny arcade that I'm making. And it provides options that I'm afraid New Wave Toys and Arcade 1-Up and all the rest of them are not giving me. I can throw the games on here that I want to get, and I'm very, very happy with the options that exist. I'm very happy with Mappy. All right, well, I'm going to leave it there, so until next time, we'll see you down the rabbit hole.